All right, guys. Bottom two problems here are asking you to kind of recall what you learned about conjugates yesterday. You're welcome to do the shortcut on this. I'm going to not show the shortcut. I'm going to show this as FOIL. Rad 7 times rad 7 is 49. Rad 7 times negative rad 2 is negative rad 14. Multiply these two, you get rad 14, or negative rad 14. Rad 2 times rad 2 is rad 4. And of course, then you saw, well, duh, these middle terms cancel out because these are the same thing with opposite signs. So these are gone. 7 minus 4 was the 7 minus 2 was sort of the shortcut we came up with, which gives you a value of 5 as an answer. That's it. Now, the whole point of this yesterday, the whole point of learning this wasn't just for fun. I know it was math fun, but the other point of this was to show you that if you multiply a radical times a binomial, kind of a binomial radical, by its conjugate, all the radicals cancel out. So we want to rationalize the denominators. In other words, get rid of the rational numbers, the irrational numbers, the messy decimals from the bottom of this using a conjugate. So again, that rule, you cannot leave radicals in the denominator. So we got to get rid of these. You can't just multiply the bottom by rad 2, because rad 2 times rad 2 would cancel that one out, but it wouldn't cancel this one. And you can't just multiply by rad 5, because it would cancel this one, but not that one. So you have to actually multiply. It's kind of like multiplying by a binomial. You're going to multiply the bottom by rad 2 minus 5. And it's going to look exactly like this. You're going to multiply the top by the same thing. So you don't change the value of it. You just change what it looks like. Talk about a messy looking version of 1. What a, oof, geez, ugly. But this is really just multiplying by 1. And you can certainly start to use those shortcuts. You remember from up here that if you multiply by a conjugate, it's really just 7 minus 2. It's the subtraction one here, the radicands. You get 5. So this is really just 2 minus 5 on the bottom. Multiply this times this, you'll get 2 minus 5. You'll get negative 3. Multiply on the top, you get 6 rad 2 minus 6 rad 5. And like we said, the bottom is just negative 3. You can do it the long way and get negative 3. You can do sort of the shortcut method on here. This is not quite done because both of these are reducible. 3 goes into both of these evenly. So you could reduce this fraction to, negative 2 rad 2, and you can reduce this fraction to positive 2 because of the signs on there. So sometimes this will be your answer will stay a fraction. In this case, the number went into both of those. Reduce it. Look at that. You've got radical multiplication, you've got radical addition, you've got radical subtraction, division. You got the whole gambit of fun on that one. Last one on there. And again, you're trying to get rid of this. So if you want to get rid of this, you got to multiply by the conjugate of rad 7 minus rad 6, which is rad 7 plus rad 6. We want those radicals to cancel on the bottom using what we know about conjugates. And I don't know why that's an equal sign up there. That should certainly be a plus sign right there. Probably the computer wasn't listening to me when I typed in a plus sign, or I hit shift and I wasn't supposed to. So multiplying the top and the bottom by the same thing over here. So on the bottom, this is just going to be 7 minus 6, just going to be 1 on the bottom, which is nice because you won't have a fraction. On the top, you're not going to get everything to simplify. Rad 7 times rad 7 is just 7. Rad 7 times rad 6 is rad 42. Again, rad 7 times rad 6 is another rad 42. And rad 6 times rad 6, is just 6. And of course, the whole thing's over 1, so you don't have to worry about the fraction part of it anymore. You can combine some of these terms. They like each other. 7 and 6 combine to 13, and the rad 42s combine to get 2 rad 42. And I strongly recommend, you guys, when you're doing these lessons, you're willing to rewind and willing to pause. You'll learn a lot more that way. If you're watching this like a television show, you're not going to get much out of it. You got to try to be an active participant in this. Hopefully this is working for you guys. Hopefully it's keeping you kind of up to speed for what my expectations are instead of a sub teaching things kind of at their own pace. Not that they can't do it, but it's just different than what I'm going to expect on a test or quiz. You can ignore the daily practice here. This is something we're going to do tomorrow, probably do some extra practice and some IXL problems. Your homework, which I believe it's already on Schoology, is from page 819. There it is. It's a couple sequences of problems. Definitely should be starting that in class. I'm telling Mr. Snyder he should see you guys starting that in class like a bunch of diligent, academically driven students. Of course. Have a great day. I'll see you on Friday. Maybe a little quiz. We'll see what happens.